We thought, honestly, that Mike Pence's story would end when it came to Trump's leaving the office, right? Republicans don't like Mike Pence. Almost no Republicans have a favorable view of Mike Pence. He failed in stealing the election for Donald Trump after Donald Trump said he could steal the election, but they actually can't steal the election. But then they said he didn't want to steal the election because he was working with the cabal. And at the end of the day, even his closest confidant, Mike Pence, that was with him until the very end, stabbed him in the back at the very last moment. And he is a traitor to the people. He's a traitor to the America. He works for the cabal. He is drinking from the Hillary Clinton cum chalice, and it is not nice. All right, it's bad, it's not good, and it's really unfortunate for all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean the very minority of us who actually cared about this, where most people kind of moved on after the election, but the ones who didn't, they really didn't. Anyways, with that being said, Mike Pence's story did not end for him, and we're picking back up with the Mike saga, with him on the run. And when I say that, I don't mean that like metaphorically or like facetiously. I'm not being like hyperbolic when I say this. He's actually on the run in Indiana right now, and he has no home. Mike Pence is homeless after leaving office and couch surfing with Indiana politicians, reports say. So where's he going? He's just going from couch to couch, sleeping in wherever he can find it. He's living at his grandma's house. He's hitting up some politicians in Indiana. He's talking to anybody that he can. He's sleeping in freaking 7-Eleven parking lots. He's looking over his shoulder, and all at the same time his Secret Service detail is following him wherever he goes because he is terrified of the Trump cabal. We can of the Trump sycophants that are looking for him right now. Former President Mike Pence, who was thrust into the spotlight during the last days of Donald Trump's presidency, does not have a permanent place to live since leaving his official residence in the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, reports say. Though his farewell address, Mike Pence announced that he will be moving back to his home state in Indiana in the summer. He offered no details on the specifics of where he would move with his wife, Karen Pence. Official records show Mike Pence who grew up in Columbus, hasn't owned a home in Indiana for at least the last 8 years. Instead, political allies told Business Insiders that the former second couple were couch surfing with residences of various Republican politicians in the state. So not only does he not have a home now, he hasn't had a home for the last 8 years. Outside of the governor's mansion when he was the governor of Indiana, and also being in the U.S. Naval Observatory when he was living in Washington. This dude hasn't had a single home for God knows why. I actually have no clue why he's been couch surfing, but now he has a real reason to start couch surfing, and that's getting away from Trump's goons. Now, Mike Pence hasn't been a very liked person. Even when he left Indiana, he left because he wasn't going to win his next gubernatorial bid, because they didn't even like him in Indiana. The guy was an absolute crackpot. He was like a religious extremist. He was doing his best to enact like conservative like a Christian Sharia law inside the state. The dude was absolutely out of his mind. He was doing everything he can to fight against the Supreme Court and gay rights and voting rights and women's rights and everyone's rights who isn't straight, cis, white, evangelical. Anybody who doesn't fit that very specific category, he was just ripping down the rights off the wall. Okay? Bill of Rights, who ain't never heard of her, huh? It's time to go revoke some. It's time to go revoke some women's rights, okay, buddy? They didn't like him. He wasn't gonna win his next bid. But now so he thought that being with Trump and then being able to leave that and going on to be with a prolific, loudmouth Republican president could re-up his image. The only thing is, it was the worst decision that he could possibly make because it made his opinion even worse. Not only now that Indiana Republicans, in Indiana, everybody don't like him. All Republicans countrywide don't like him, and the world at general don't like him. Nobody likes this guy. Nobody liked this guy at all. I mean, at the very least, when he first came into office, reasonably they like people like Pence more than they like Trump. Nobody likes him now. He's an absolute clown, especially after the last debates with Kamala Harris. They don't like him. Not one bit. The Pences are currently believed to be staying in a cabin in the Indiana governor Eric Holcomb. My bad. Staying in a cabin. They're literally living in a freaking cabin in the woods right now, trying to escape Trump's people hunting him. The Indiana governor Eric Holcomb uses as a retreat, while two Republicans close to the former vice president were quoted saying that they spent time at a home that belonged to Pence's brother in Columbus. The lack of concrete information about Pence's location is due to in part for safety concerns arising around the recent insurrection at the Capitol. The mob that rampaged through the Capitol on the 6th wanted to kill Mike Pence in his role for certifying Joe Biden's election victory, as well as Speaker Nancy Pelosi for the same reason. The rioters, some of whom chanted "Where's Mike Pence?" and "Hang Mike Pence," very not the most subtle group, came close to within 100 feet of him during the Capitol siege. So just so you know, this guy is fearing for his life for very good reason. The people chanting "Hang Mike Pence" were within 100 feet of him during that riot. So he is still on the run in a very conservative state of Indiana, looking to escape Trump sycophants from being able to hunt him down and make good on that promise of giving him his day of the rope. Okay, so this is what happens when you play part in radicalization. It will always come back to you. You're right, he did it to himself. Now, absolutely, I'm gonna say this to be completely honest with you. I don't support killing any politicians. I don't support political violence. But what goes around comes around, all right? And when you do something to yourself, I gotta acknowledge, I'm sorry. When you stoke the fires, when you're just a horrible garbage human being, and you are actually going to co-opt the language of someone who's looking to overturn a democratic election just because your guy didn't win, I'm sorry, I have very little sympathy for you. Mike Pence could have done anything to try to stop this from happening. The thing is, Mike Pence didn't have any reason to say that whatever Trump was saying wasn't true. He didn't. He wasn't in fear of losing. He wasn't in fear of losing anything. Trump can't fire him. You can't fire the vice president. It doesn't work like that. He already certified Pence to be his running mate in 2021. It doesn't work. You can't just fire him. It doesn't work. So he had ample opportunity. He had every reason to stand up to Donald Trump, but instead of doing that, he cowered and did nothing. Not only that, he made it even worse for himself by stoking the flames until the very last moment where he was actually said to do, where they actually looked to him to do something. He didn't expect it to come back on him. You never expect the wolves to eat your face. Wait, you're telling me the leopards are here to eat my face? Wait, this isn't supposed to work. But he's never been that good of a person. Here, let me play you something that Pence said back when he was on the trail with Turning Points USA about what the Democrats wanted to do if they win. Abortion on demand. Oh my gosh. It's so quiet still. Here, I gotta turn this up like bigly.
They want to make rich people poorer and poor people more comfortable.
You notice how there was no applause line after that? Even Trump supporters can understand that was the shittiest line. What a person. What an absolute character, dude. He's such a goon. And I'm not going to say I'm happy that he's literally on the run right now with his wife, couch surfing, sleeping in inflatable mattresses with his Secret Service detail because he can't find a place to because he doesn't want to find a place to stay because he's scared of being hung. Like, unironically, that's something that the ex-vice president has to care about now, being hung by the people who are apparently supporters of his former boss. I can't say I feel too bad for him when he played such a fundamental role in radicalizing these people to this point.